Welcome back to NESN Around, NESN.com's podcast about nothing, but also about everything. I'm NESN.com's Mike Cole, joined this week by a pinch hitter of sorts.
I'm not Ricky Doyle.
No, you're not.
Nope.
A little taller,
Less accent.
Yeah, a little easier to understand, a little less red in the face, a little. He's gonna be even. I think he's gonna look like a lobster when he gets back. I don't know what Ricky's been doing, but he's living the dream. This is Darren Harwell. Darren, thanks for coming on and talking to me. It's fun.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Not a whole lot else going on, so might as well pass the time by doing a little messing around.
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting show because it's almost cliche at this point to mention just how bad this week of sports is, but there's really not a whole lot going on.
No, it's basically, I think right after the All-Star games, the one day, right, in the sports calendar year where there's absolutely no big four games going on. Right now it's just pretty much baseball stuff. We're trying to get some like NBA rumors going on, but it's slowing down.
Yeah. Every single year I forget to take this week off, and I end up working, and I'm ready to poke my eyeballs out with forks by the middle of Tuesday, which is exactly where we are right now. So this should be a good time. Probably gonna be a little testy, a little grumpy, maybe more so than usual. We were off last week, so no predictions to get to. Like I said, Ricky is he's a jet flying, limousine riding all over the United States. He'll be back next week, I believe, God willing. So let's get into it. We'll start with, I guess, really the only somewhat interesting sports event going on this week. MLB All-Star Game. They are invading South Beach, Miami, where there's a whole lot of stuff going on in terms of the Marlins ownership, which should be interesting. Yeah. Right before we came in here, I kind of wish we could have put this on the rundown or kind of talked to this. There is an ownership group reportedly involving Pitbull and Jeb Bush. So I'm kind of pulling for that group just because of the hilarity that might ensue.
Derek Jeter involved in there too, maybe?
Yeah, it is going to be a star-studded ownership group no matter what, no matter who gets it, and no matter what, it will be better than Jeffrey Loria. So, the reward for being a horribly run baseball team with a bad owner is that you get to host the All-Star Game, apparently. When you build a $600 million stadium, that's usually what happens. Yeah. We had the Home Run Derby on Monday night, and I guess, I'll just ask you, you didn't get a chance to watch it live. No. Have you seen the highlights?
Yeah, I saw some highlights. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, no, I like, I don't know, we were talking about the format a little bit. I'm a fan of the new format, like putting it on a clock, seeing how quickly they can hit home runs, and you're not just waiting around for them to hit another pop-up and see if it goes or not. We saw in the first round, I know you were saying Giancarlo Stanton, was down huge, and then he starts just like drilling home runs. And you're like, is he going to come back? Is he going to make it?
Right.
Pretty compelling stuff.
Yeah, and it was like I was saying this morning, he was hitting baseballs that looked like golf balls. It looked like going to the driving range, and everything was hit. He's just on a line. He's hitting line drives 485 feet. It's insane. And then mixing in a few balls that were, just towering shots as well. Yeah. And again, I think the Home Run Derby in a lot of ways is like the slam dunk contest, where I think it's better when you have stars involved and you have personalities involved. Aaron Judge and the Yankees, maybe not. He has zero personality by the looks of it. Yeah. I don't know if you saw the interview he did with Buster Olney afterwards. He said he was just trying to have fun, probably 16 times in the span of about 28 seconds. So that was something that was a little off-putting. But when you hit the ball 513 feet, you don't really need to be interesting. And I think that this is something that they need going forward to make. I think we've seen kind of like a groundswell of interest in the Home Run Derby the last couple of years. I think that's it's the perfect event for where baseball is kind of at right now. It's like you said, it's fast-paced. It's very good for social media. I think like Twitter was, people. There's nothing else going on, so people are always looking for something to talk about. Yep. It dominated Twitter on Monday night. So I think that these types of things are going in the right direction, but I do think you need the star power, and I think it's unfortunate it needs to be a Yankee or whatever for it to be a star. But that's just the way baseball is right now. They have an issue creating those stars, but I think the few guys that they need to get in, like Judge. I think that Judge kind of he won, and he also just provided that star power and gave some people a reason to watch.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where they're going with the whole bracket setup.
That's true too. Yeah,
creating the matchups and everything. When the bracket came out, it was like Stanton's on one side, Judge is on the other, and obviously it didn't go to the finals, but gonna have the everyone loves their NCAA brackets. You can fill it out, make picks, be like who's gonna is the one gonna upset the 8, all that. I think the star power is huge. You need a guy like Judge,
right?
Basically, just keep Aaron Judge in the home run derby for the next 10 years. And
yeah. Well, the problem is like with the with the slam dunk contest, I think you do it. I don't know if these guys like doing it. I mean, like I said, Aaron Judge talked about how much fun he had, so maybe he will keep doing it for a few
really
years.
Hard,
right? But it's like one of those things where if he ends up winning 3 of the next 4 home run derbies, what is the point of even keep coming back?
Yeah.
I think you need to get other guys involved. I think next year you look at it, it's going to be really interesting. It's in Washington. Bryce Harper has already kind of talked about maybe getting into it. I think next year, if you get Bryce Harper on one side of the bracket and hope that he ends up getting to the finals to take on Judge at Nationals Park, that would be cool. But I just think I really think it's really interesting that this is kind of going in the right direction. It got ESPN PR said it got a 5.5 rating. That's the best since 2009. And we talked about this on the Track Bar, our NASCAR show, kind of talking about NASCAR ratings, and ratings across the board for everything are down. It's just people aren't watching as much TV. So to be going in the other direction for anything, especially a niche event like this, is pretty impressive. It did a 10.8 in New York City. Yeah. Kansas City did a 13.6. To put that 5.5 in perspective, this is from Austin Karp, the Sports Business Daily. The Pro Bowl on ESPN did a 4.6. So, again, I wouldn't be pumping my chest saying we outdrew the Pro Bowl, because the Pro Bowl could be the worst sporting event in all of major professional sports. But do you see this as a net positive for baseball? And if so, how do they capitalize on this? I guess it's just keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, so I've always had this kind of pipe dream. I don't know if others would like to see this, but I'd kind of like to see a little skills competition, maybe. Do the home run. Some people have talked about this, but maybe have a hardest throw competition with pitchers or outfielders or something like that. Do a bunt contest, even though everyone in the MLB can't bunt. Yeah. But mix some other stuff in, make it a night, make it
like a showcase. Almost,
it'd be like a showcase. I don't know. I would enjoy it. I don't know if there are enough baseball people out there who enjoy watching anything other than just a bunch of people hit home runs. But I think that'd be cool. I mean, in terms of to your original point, I think the whole format, the bracket, the time thing, I think that's in the right direction. I don't think they should go back to what they were doing before.
I like the idea of the skills competition. I think there's literally no chance it happens, though, because it's another way for guys to get hurt. I don't think any sport, I think baseball more so than any other sport is afraid of people getting hurt. And then again, when you're paying these guys $20-30 million a year, I understand it. It's a long season. Baseball is, I'm trying to put this nicely, has a way about it that harbors and almost promotes. This is really just, I'm trying to say it as delicately as possible, but it's a bunch of wusses, and it can be. And that's coming from, I've played baseball my entire life. You played baseball your entire life. I am sympathetic to that plight, but at the same time, they are much more afraid of getting hurt. So it's understandable. What did you think? Oh, well, you didn't watch it on TV. TV coverage was interesting, to say the least.
Yeah,
and I think that's something.
That's
something that needs to be figured out. I didn't. I found myself missing Chris Berman, which is an alarming statement to make, because I thought his act had gotten a little bit tired. But I'm not sure what it is, and maybe it's just going star power. I didn't really enjoy. Ravitch was fine. Jessica Mendoza was a little over the top. So was Mark Teixeira. A lot of cliches. It's just. It's got to be a tough event to call as well. Mm-hmm. But, can we just get, a one straight play guy and then, can we get McGuire and Bonds in there? Yeah. Or how cool would it be to get McGuire and Sosa going back and forth? Or you kind of rotate it every year. You just get me guys that have been in this event before and guys who are known for nothing else than hitting home runs.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to hear, some strategy.
Right.
Is there some weird stuff to,
It's...
how tired you get, things like that.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance, though, because they were almost talking too much at times on Monday night. So I'm not envious of ESPN because it does seem like a difficult thing to program and kind of lay out, but I don't know. I feel like that's the one missing piece. If we can really make this a great TV event, and I'm not sure how you do that.
Yeah.
I'm not smart enough, don't get paid enough money to do that, but if you can figure that out, I think the Home Run Derby could be bigger than the All-Star Game, I think, which is a weird thing to say, but...
Well, you could argue that some people would argue the slam dunk contest, more people tune in than the actual All-Star Game.
I mean, you could almost say that across the board, or at least for the three that have really pronounced skills competition. I think the NHL skills competition is fun. I think like you said, the slam dunk contest. I mean, that whole night I think is more interesting than the actual All-Star Game. So speaking of the All-Star Game, we're going to also talk about the All-Star Game because again, there's nothing else for us to talk about. All-Star Game Tuesday night. We're going to try to make this as evergreen as possible, kind of more of a state of the All-Star Game kind of discussion, and what we might do to fix it, if there's a way to fix it. I guess the first question, Darren, is do you look forward to the All-Star Game? Do you enjoy the All-Star Game?
I do.
Does it matter to you?
I mean, in terms of actually mattering. I never really cared too much about who won and lost in terms of the home field advantage. Obviously, if you root for the Red Sox or something, the AL wins. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But, especially if some Red Sox.
Right.
I mean, I'd say you're more interested in how your own players do than the actual outcome of the game. But I think it's one of the coolest All-Star games in terms of the fact that you can't really like half-ass it, so to speak, and you can't just like throw a pitch.
Yeah, that's true.
50 miles an hour.
Right.
Or you can't like half swing a bat. You watch like the NBA All-Star Game, people are jogging up and down the court. So you do get to see pretty much the best players actually competing at maybe not their like full speed, but doing what they do best. I think it's like a pretty good showcase of that, and I look forward to it every year. Yeah,
it's a game too where baseball's a hard sport. It would be very easy to be embarrassed, and I don't think you want to be embarrassed
exactly.
on that stage, and that kind of speaks to your point. It doesn't, I guess if the question is it doesn't matter, I mean, I guess in a way. For me, it's, and I would listen, I want to give proper respect to who made me think of this. I was listening to the Fangraphs podcast this week, and last week they were talking about the All-Star Game, and Dave Cameron, the lead editor over there, made a point. He said, this is something I cared about a lot more when I was a kid, and it still should theoretically mean something to kids because it's your basically what you were saying. Like, I guess your fandom is stronger when you're younger, and it's cool to see the guy that you root for come in, especially if they're not starting. It's like you're staying up all night to see Craig Kimbrell pitch or whatever. Mm-hmm. And in that regard, I agree with that. Like the All-Star Game when I was younger was the coolest thing. Like I loved it for whatever reason. I still look forward to, or I look forward to it every year. I think it was a little bit different back before. I'm not that old to really remember Major League Baseball before interleague play, but there was an element of that, especially when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8, kind of growing up before interleague play started. So there's that. It's just like a lot of things, baseball related. It gives me nostalgia, and I think that's still important. I'm also turning 30 this year, so I think I'm really investing a lot in nostalgia. No, I'm just I think I'm in a weird emotional state right now that I'm really valuing nostalgia more so than I have in my entire life. But it's something that I still think it's cool to see the best against the best, and I think, like you said, I think that's a really good point that I hadn't thought of, is that Chris Sale's going to come out throwing 95, and he's going right after these guys. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just the best in each league, and you get to. I think the one thing, I guess my one gripe is that in terms of like pace, we talk about pace of play. You have so many pitchers that have to come in.
Right.
There's a lot of pitching changes, a lot of guys being shuffled through. They're not exactly chomping at the bit to speed it up, but in that sense. It's one game a year. You're kind of trying to showcase the best players. Maybe it's all right if it drags on a little bit.
That would be cool. Like the All-Star game, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, if it was actually played like a game, would be, I think, so cool. Like just if you could let Scherzer go 5-6 innings and turn it over to I think that would be really cool. Which I kind of used to do.
A lot of people on the bench, but
right. I think I read somewhere, and I think it was in the ESPN.com story by Jerry Krasnick, that the last time a pitcher threw 3 innings in an All-Star game was '94. Greg Maddux did it, and then the last time an American League pitcher did it, I forget who it was. It was in '87, so that was 30 years ago. So it's just a different game. I think a lot of people want to fix these events. Everybody's got their suggestions, things like that. I don't think this one needs a whole lot of tweaking, but I did want to get to this. Bryce Harper came out Monday, and he had a really interesting idea. I'm going to quote this, go for this entire quote that I saw in Deadspin. It'd be great if, let's say, the 2 leading vote getters by the fans did a draft system and could pick from both sides. So I could be facing Max Scherzer today. I mean, nobody sees that. It'd be a lot of fun to see something like that, make a little more competition to face somebody on your team. Like if Kershaw was facing Justin Turner or Chris Sale facing Mookie Betts. That'd be a lot of fun. You see this now in the NHL. I've seen it in the NFL as well.
Yep.
I don't think I like this idea as much for baseball. What do you think?
I mean, now that kind of listening to the quote, I think it would be kind of cool. Obviously, you have to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
I don't know if those teammate matchups, whether they wouldn't try as hard, or something weird would happen.
Yeah. Also, I think again, a lot of things All-Star Game related, especially in baseball. In theory, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
In practice, it seems borderline impossible. Also, is Max Scherzer going to be selecting left-handed specialists who have
baseball is a weird.
It's just tougher
roster
to build. Yeah, especially when it's the All-Star Game and you have to build it a certain way.
I like the theory though.
Yeah, and I guess if you could guarantee that, again, how do you make it all match up so that you are getting those matchups, where you're getting the Justin Turner and Clayton Kershaw one. Also, so I think if there was one thing I would do to fix it or change things or whatever, is I would these guys get, I think if I read correctly on ESPN.com, $20,000 per player if you win. You get nothing if you lose. I mean, these guys make a whole boatload of money. That's nothing. I think if you kind of add that, maybe this is, again, for as bad as baseball is, according to everybody, as much as it's suffering, there's still a ton of money. I think you could maybe a little bit more to give a little more incentive to give these guys try harder. Maybe get some sort of charity involvement to make it. Each player gets to donate $200,000 to their whatever. Give them a little more incentive. I think you could make the game even better. But it's just one of those things where I know it's the middle of summer. There's nothing else going on. I'm going to watch it just to see what these guys do. The other thing about the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, seems like there's a great moment every year or every other year. I mean, if you go back to the early 90s, the Randy Johnson thing, and you kind of move along, Pedro at 99, the Cal Ripken home run. There's if you get one, right? Torrey Hunter, robbing Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Bud Selig doing this. If you get one thing in the All-Star Game, I think it's a success. So
and especially now, it's going to be up on Twitter in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and people will be writing about it.
Yeah, I'm not a big Twitter involvement guy. I think we kind of try to overdo that a little bit, but I think there's no issue in kind of experimenting with different things until you figure it out. I know didn't they make a big deal out of it a couple years ago? It's we're going to allow these guys to tweet from the dugout, and it's all right, I don't really care. I don't follow athletes because I think they're kind of boring. But I don't know. Good for them for trying some new things here and there. And again, I think it's something that I still am just an old man that I get excited for the All-Star Game.
I think in its purest form, if you're just comparing it to other All-Star games, it's probably the least tweaking in terms of entertainment value.
I guess the question is it the MLB All-Star Game? I'm going to go the whole experience, the weekend, whatever you want to call. Yeah. Is MLB All-Star whatever you want to call it, is it the best, do you think? I think it's the best game.
Yeah, I think it's the best actual game.
Right.
You could put it up against the NBA maybe in terms of the slam dunk contest, the All-Star Game. There's some cool stuff that happens. I mean, the Pro Bowl to me is just
they should kill it. It would be the best. If they killed the Pro Bowl, that would make it the best All-Star Game. Just get rid of it, and just the memory of it not being here anymore would be better than any other All-Star game.
This was the Pro Bowl, and that's not happening.
So that's the best. Yes, exactly.
And it ends after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a joke. Yeah, I think baseball is the best game. I think it's become the best experience, but that could just be the nostalgic American apple pie kind of Chevy truck guy in me. That's
summer,
like, yeah. It's
4th of July just happened.
I think I just want baseball to be better than it is. It's just sad. All right, let's switch gears, talk a little basketball. You're a big basketball guy.
I've been called that.
That's a weird thing to say. It's been, I'm going to go off on a very quick list here. We're just going to do a quick recap, some highlights of the NBA offseason. Yeah. It's been bananas. Oh, and yeah. I'm not sure if I have everything in here, and I'm going to go relatively quick.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can pick something out if I forget something. But all of these things have happened since when was the draft? 3
June,
weeks ago?
Late June.
2.5 weeks ago. So the things have happened since then. Celtics traded the #1 pick. The Gordon this is not necessarily in order. This is kind of just how I remembered it. Celtics traded the #1 pick. The Gordon Hayward drama. LeVar Lonzo Ball drama. Paul George gets traded. Jimmy Butler gets traded. Then he gives out his cell phone number in a press conference. The Cavs don't have a GM because they are cheap and they lowballed Chauncey Billups of all people. And Griffin's gone. The Rockets traded for Chris Paul. Phil Jackson maybe tried to trade Kristaps Porzingis. Phil Jackson is now out in New York. Swaggy P is going to the Warriors. I'm probably missing something. Did I mention the Chris Paul trade?
Knicks paid Tim Hardaway $71 million.
Knicks gave Tim Hardaway $71 million. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
This is the most. Does this see? But that's the thing. The last few years, there have been some just bonkers off season. Was it last year that also had the DeAndre Jordan thing, or was that 2 summers ago?
Oh, with the Mavs,
they kidnapped him. Yeah.
I think that was last year, actually.
So there was that, the Durant stuff.
Yep.
2 years ago would have been LeBron, probably, or is that 3 years ago?
LeBron was 2014.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So that would have been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Where it's just like we're all sitting on like a Thursday or Friday afternoon, and it just drops the SI article.
Yeah.
Banana boats. It's just you name it. There's so much stuff. Do you think is this good for the sport? Is it like is there almost like an inherent danger of like overshadowing the actual game?
I think it's.
And does that matter?
I think it's kind of funny because you just had the Cavs and Warriors NBA Finals. Which is like a lot of hype around that, and then it's over. Like the Warriors did it. They won the NBA championship, and now everyone's talking about who's going to win the next one. Like
right.
Who's going to go where? Which star is going to go to which team? Who's going to have the best shot at winning 2018, 2019? It's like we just had the NBA Finals. Yeah, I mean, there's a little danger in that. I think it's great for the league.
Yeah.
It's just only in this league is there can stars determine the outcome of the success of a team so much, and you have all these stars just going all different ways and debating about going different ways, teaming up with other guys. It's just in terms of drama, you really can't beat it.
The thing that I kind of enjoy about it is that it's organic in the way that it's not dictated by the league. I don't necessarily. There's something a little weird about like how hostage the players have taken the league. Like and I'm not crazy about the whole idea of we're just gonna gang up and go wherever we want, team up with our buddies.
Yeah,
it's not. I'd like a little more competition and kind of a little more staying in one place a little longer and trying to win there.
Yeah.
But that the horse is out of the barn there.
Yeah, this isn't changing anytime soon.
Right. So, but at least it's being dictated by the players. Where it's like the NFL must be looking at this right now and just being like, "Oh my God, how do we do this?" Because they're still like the NBA is dominating the sports headlines through the middle of July now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're picking up the pieces now with like off-season grades and things like that. Power rankings. We did one on NESN.com today. These things are still being talked about. Now a month after the finals, like the NFL would kill for this, and that's the thing that bothers me about the NFL is like the goddamn schedule release is like we're gonna put this in prime time, and it's like just leave me alone unless this is actually interesting, which it's not interesting. We're just email me the schedule and I'll look at it and I'll be like, all right, cool. But there are just so many cool, like juicy storylines here that it's just I feel like an idiot for like really getting into this gossip because most of it, like 90% of it, especially if the Celtics are involved, doesn't come to fruition. but it's still I find this more interesting than a game in January. I really do. Like I see, that's the thing. I'm gonna sit here and pretend like I care about what the Celtics do, about what other teams are doing to make themselves good. And then if they're playing on a Tuesday night in January, I'm probably gonna watch reruns of The Office or something. Like, I'm still not gonna watch the games then. I'll see it when the games actually start to matter. But it's like, this is better than the basketball for me. And maybe that's me just being a simpleton, but
that's like the state of the league too.
Yeah.
You have the Cavs and the Warriors.
Well, that's the other, and
you can just simulate the regular season and put them in the NBA Finals. Then it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's like like a game, like an NBA video game has almost become like a microcosm for actual NBA, where it's like, the excitement is in building the team and picking your teams, and then there's also like a bit of a correlation between like an actual NBA game where everybody says the first 3.5 quarters don't matter, and then the fourth, you pick it up in the fourth quarter and you'll be fine. You can kind of do that with the season too. You don't really need to pay attention until the trade deadline, the All-Star break, and even then,
just coasted.
Right? Yeah. I mean, and there's an element of like they don't really give a damn either, which is kind of insulting. But at least it seems like they care in the off season, so I think that makes it more interesting. But I think it's like the NBA offseason this week. The best the NBA is at its best from June 1st until July 15th. Like, counting the finals all the way through until the draft, free agency, and everything is done.
Well, that's the thing too, is that the sports world kind of needs it.
That's a good point.
It happens at a great time. Like you said, we're just sitting here like twiddling our thumbs, watching the All-Star game. In terms of like actual competition, there's really nothing. NFL just goes dark from now until training camp. So this is great. This is keeping us sports junkies going.
Real quick, who do you think has had the best offseason thus far?
I mean, you could go. I would say either the Rockets or the Timberwolves.
Sure.
I guess the Rockets, if they end up getting Carmelo Anthony, obviously, there are plenty of Carmelo Anthony haters out there.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you might be one of them.
No, I don't. I don't mind that.
I just think that they're at least getting themselves in the conversation of one of those teams where all the superstars can get on a group text and say, hey, let's go to Houston.
Right.
And obviously the Timberwolves, they had Jimmy Butler. They're moving up a little bit. Eventually those young, like all those young guys that they have, they're playing better. At some point, they gotta turn the corner. They kind of underachieved a little bit last year. I think having that star now kind of maybe gives them a little kick in the butt. Obviously, the Celtics are in the conversation, but I think it's weird that it was kind of expected that Gordon Hayward would sign with the Celtics, or at least Boston fans were expecting it. I think the Celtics would have been screwed if they.
It would be really bad.
And it sounded like it was pretty close.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get into that whole Gordon Hayward drama, but I think they did what was expected. Obviously, they got a great pick and another pick, a future pick in the 2018 or 19 draft, however it shakes out. So I think that's solid. But in terms of like really, going for it, I don't think they needed to really go for it, but that they just they took another step forward.
Sports Illustrated graded some teams. They gave the Celtics a C. I thought that it was one interesting point.
Yeah,
it's not like, I don't think that's crazy, because I think there were some points in it that made sense. It's like, this could go sideways if it doesn't. If it never really plays up to their potential, and then it just kind of opens you up to some issues where it's like you don't have Markelle Fultz as like the player of the future, so you're going to have to pay Isaiah Thomas, especially now after you let Avery Bradley go, and you let Avery Bradley go, now your defense kind of falls into peril, and that's including the fact that Isaiah Thomas can't play defense. By no fault of his own, he's just a tiny human.
Tries hard.
It's a trick question, though. The biggest winner of the NBA offseason, Golden State Warriors, because they're going to bring back everybody that they had, and they're going to be good again.
And Swaggy P.
Yeah, it's Swaggy P. Yep. All right, let's do a quick viral breakdown. It's been a few weeks since we've done one of these. Speaking of the NBA offseason teams that have actually one team that's done a decent job at least retaining its players, the Toronto Raptors, keeping Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka. They already have DeMar DeRozan in the fold. That is, of course, unless he gets arrested for going ham on
It's aggressive.
a Drew League referee. I don't know if we got the video queued up, but Drew League was in California.
Yeah,
famous.
Makes a big deal of it.
Yeah, this is going to be great. As you can see right here, that's DeMar DeRozan throwing a basketball at an official.
There's no teammate near that official.
And he's jawing at him. He was ejected. This was at the end of the game. There was a play a little bit beforehand where DeRozan actually scored, thought he got fouled, didn't get called for the end one, was bickering as he went back up the court, got a technical, then as the game ended, his team lost, so he throws the ball at the referee. Now he comes back, we're going to do a little jaw jack, there we go.
That's actually, I think that's Nick Young, or Nick Young's on, I don't know if that's him in the cornrows, but I think that might be. They just walk
yeah, they're gone. They're out. They're just going to walk out into the streets of L.A. or something, apparently.
Yeah.
It's just a gym. It's like a local YMCA, basically.
Yeah.
That's not a good move. I wouldn't suggest doing that very often. That's something that would get you an enormous suspension in the NBA.
I don't know. It's kind of too bad that it didn't happen in an NBA game.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see what happened.
The thing I don't like about it is if you're going to throw the ball at the referee, throw the ball at the referee.
Yeah.
Like, he just tossed it. Like, I mean, you know.
It had some decent speed on it, but he didn't wind up.
No, give me a crow hop. I want to see, like, if we're going to start playing dodgeball with referees, like, let's actually do this.
Got him on the rebound a little bit, though. Hit the wall. And
that's a good point. Maybe if he's trying to do that, that would be pretty impressive. We don't condone that behavior, but it certainly is interesting. I feel bad for that guy who's probably just taking an enormous amount of crap from these NBA players in this league, which is probably much more competitive than it should be. But what a wild thing that these guys just go play pickup basketball in the summer.
I mean, in his defense, I wouldn't. I haven't said that I haven't gotten a little worked up in a pickup basketball game.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like, yeah, that's a good point. It's a
sometimes
scary environment. Sometimes
it gets heated.
Yeah, that's true. But the moral of the story, probably not going to want to throw basketballs at referees. But like I said, if that happens in the NBA, he is in a world of trouble. Yeah. One more thing before we get out of here. According to reports or whatever, I think it was even confirmed by, Showtime?
Yeah.
The McGregor-Mayweather fight. Perhaps you've heard of it. Boxing match they'll have in a couple months. It's going to cost $99.95 to order that. Or you can, if you want to order an SD like a chump, you can get it for $89.95. I really don't know who's ordering these fights on SD. You're probably better off going
$90 for
SD.
Right?
Yeah, might as well.
Chip an extra 10. You know?
Not to go after the cord cutters and whoever's cheaping out on HD, but it is 2017. $99.95. That's a lot of money to order one boxing match that's probably going to stink.
Yep.
Do you plan on doing that?
Yeah. I plan on doing that. I'm probably gonna try to find as many people as possible to split that. I think that's got to be the move here.
Yep.
Just, it's maybe it won't be great. Maybe it'll be awesome. Maybe it'll be terrible, but you have to watch it. I think that's the kind of the brilliance of this thing. It's like people are gonna watch it anyways, just to see what happens. It's a UFC guy taking on one of the greatest boxers ever. You gotta see what happens. So just pull all your friends together. Everyone chips in $10 or $5 or something and get it done.
That is the play. If you're lucky enough to have friends, I don't have many of those. So if there was a way to somehow watch this legally or illegally on the internet, maybe I would look into that. But I don't think there is. I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So then maybe I would go that route.
Maybe there's going to be some this is the 21st century. Maybe there's something you can set up where. People come together. Maybe they aren't friends, but you just pool your resources together and do a little social watching situation.
Yeah, that also requires interacting with strangers, which I'm not a really big fan of. $99.95. Talked to you earlier about things in the NFL wishes it could do. Would you spend $100 every year to watch the Super Bowl?
Just in person?
No, like watch it on TV. Like if the Super Bowl is a $99.95 pay-per-view event every year, would you watch it every year?
Oh, like you had to pay
$100?
Yeah.
I'm doing it 1,000% for every big sporting event, and I'm glad that these guys haven't been able to. I mean, I don't know legally if you can do that or whatever, but God, that would be the biggest heel move if the NFL was just it's going to cost you $100, and they would make so much money, and people would still buy it. Like, imagine trying to tell people that you're not going to be able to watch the Super Bowl anymore. They'd figure it out. People would be like, well, I got to save up a couple extra $100 this year to watch the Super Bowl. I think you'd do that.
Yeah, I guess because it's the one game. Maybe if you have like the series, you could say, all right, I'll skip a couple. Like, give me Game 7. I'll watch that for like.
But I mean, I would do that. I would pay like $75 for the full World Series. You don't have a choice at a certain point.
Yeah, I guess, and especially if the Super Bowl and the Patriots are in it every year, you gotta watch it, right?
Yep. I tell you what, they should pay me $100 to watch the Pro Bowl though. That's to bring this thing full circle.
Yeah, you could use that $100 that you get watching the Pro Bowl and then put it towards the Super Bowl.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. So there you go. Fix the Pro Bowl. Just give $100 to everybody to watch it.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was it. I guess I don't think you have anything else to talk about.
Good? Like I said, not a whole lot going on.
I know.
But
Darren, thanks for coming in out of the bullpen. This was fun. We'll do it again sometime.
I was feeling good.
Because Ricky's probably going to be just gone for a few more weeks. I don't know. I don't know where he went. That's it. NESN Around, NESN.com's podcast, video podcast, show thing, whatever it is, on the internet about nothing but also about everything. I'm Mike Paul. That's Darren Harlow. We'll see you again next week. Bye, everybody.